All right, everyone. Leah Goldman of Marie Claire magazine. It's sort of a New York fashion mag of sorts, one of these sort of B-ranked magazines that you have come out of these large cities. Encouraged on Twitter, link in the description to the archived tweet, linked out an encouragement to people that they should mail Donald Trump their used tampons and maxi pads because he has a problem with women's blood. It does appear that he has some sort of fixation on this topic. I'm assuming that it's just sort of his encapsulated insults of people he's going after who happen to be female, psychopath, or showing some sign of mental disturbance is what he usually uses for males, as we saw with Joe Scarborough, Psycho Joe. The problem is this. What Miss Goldman doesn't appear to realize is that, technically speaking, that tweet is an incitement to commit a federal crime. Mailing that sort of material via the U.S. mail would be considered a biohazard. And if not properly marked, it's actually a federal crime. So I'm sure that she's going to get in a little bit of trouble from this. Probably. She's the executive editor of this magazine. But they should probably can her if there's somebody who's above her to actually do so. Or at the very least disavow the comments because, of course, disavowing anything that's said is now very important to people. It's like if you've ever spoken with somebody and they do something wrong, you're supposed to disavow who they are. Like, you can't just have a polite conversation with people. It's like I talk to like Red Ice Radio or Richard Spencer or something. So somebody from the lamestream media were to come and say, oh, well, will you disavow their views? I'd say, no, I'm not going to disavow anything because they're not my views. I'm just having a conversation with somebody. Screw yourself. But that's not the standard that some people want in the country. So I guess this company, they have to ban her permanently, and she should be put in the little black book of people who are never allowed to have a job again and be on welfare and all this stuff. Now, this is tongue-in-cheek. Of course, I don't believe that that's really necessary. Going after, like, people's advertisers, it gets old. It's a sign of our really weird, confused times. But her encouragement of her followers to commit a crime, yeah, that would be considered incitement. She's actively telling them it's a good idea, and then using the hashtag red resistance. Well, I think probably red describes your politics more than it does your idea regarding mailing Trump used tampons. You know how much trouble you're gonna get in if you actually do that? It's like if you were to mail it normally, just mail it to a random person and not mark it properly, it would be a problem. You're looking at a significant problem for doing that. The people who work for the U.S. mail don't need to have to handle fucking biohazards that aren't even marked so that proper gear can be worn. I mean, what if somebody has like AIDS or some other disease? If they're sending their like used maxi pads to people, not a great idea. But you're talking about sending it not just to some random person who you don't like, some random civilian. You're talking about sending it to the fucking White House itself. What happens? You've got your address on there. You got a box full of used maxi pads, and the people who screen all the mail in the White House to make sure it doesn't have fucking anthrax or a bomb or something, they're going through, they're looking at your address and they're seeing a box full of used tampons. Yeah, I think you're going to get in a little bit of trouble for that. It's like, it's one thing if you're mailing somebody like unused panties or something as a form of protest. I don't know that specifically you'd get in trouble for that. Like, I don't think there's actually a specific law, unless you've been, like, given a cease and desist or something. I don't think it's actually illegal to randomly send somebody mail, even if they're not expecting it and don't want you to send it. I think they'd have to, like, they'd have to work that out either with the Postal Service or get a lawyer, essentially, to stop you from doing it, label it harassment or something, stalking or something like that. But this would be a problem regardless. And, you can't mail your used items of sorts in the U.S. mail. I think that's going to be an issue. So anybody thinking about doing this, I would strongly encourage you to reconsider your course of action because you may find yourself in a federal prison for a lengthy period of time. The right to protest which does exist under the First Amendment, does not extend to that sort of behavior. Any more than it does like throwing rocks through business windows, which is all Antifa does lately, or burning somebody's car. There are people who seem to believe that that sort of degraded behavior is somehow protected by the First Amendment. Like, oh, I can commit all the crimes that I want as long as I call it a protest. You know, screw the U.S. mail's own sort of legalese. I can mail like random shit, and like I can mail somebody my turds and it won't be a problem. Now I think you'll find that it will be a problem. I think you'll find that at the very least this individual is probably going to get talking to by the Secret Service or the FBI. Probably a good thing. And then of course, what about her job at this magazine? When word gets out that she's done this, when people are tweeting this video maybe at the magazine's handle itself, or emailing their site with it, or any of the other mentions of this problem, what do you think's going to happen to Miss Goldman? Well, they might agree in spirit that it's a good idea to protest Trump, but that's against the law. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem for... I think she's going to have an advisory meeting going on at the very least with her HR department. That's about all. Peace out.